Welcome to Needy and Normal. I'm your host, Ashley Levering, mom, wife, and life coach. After hours of coaching and learning from my own life, one thing is clear: meeting your needs is essential for a better life. Here, we'll talk about your needs and not only learn to accept them, but tend to them without guilt. Let's get needy. Well, hello. Welcome back to Needy and Normal. I love that you're here. Thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. If you haven't had a chance to leave me a review and rate the podcast, thanks for doing that at some point today. I would so appreciate that. Still a newbie here. This is episode number 7, and I'm loving this. I've gotten into a rhythm. It's been fun. Today's topic is going to be about speaking up. We all have needs. Always. That's a human thing. That doesn't just go away, even if we want it to. We have needs. And sometimes the best way to tend to those needs is beyond just admitting we have the need. It's beyond trying to find a way to give it to ourselves. Sometimes it's about saying something, asking for that need, asking for support in attaining the need. Now, I'm a big fan, and I've had to learn this, but I'm a big fan of meeting your own needs without relying on others. Okay, so for example, I can't rely on my husband to be the reason, or at least the only reason, I get cheered up if I'm in a bad mood, right? It's that same concept of nobody can make you feel a certain way. A lot of times, if needs are a mental thing, like I need my stress to go down, that work is inside. Granted, as much as the work comes from within, there are always going to be outside factors. There is always a permission available to you to ask for help, to make sure that whatever you're seeking, whatever need you're attaining, has a chance, right? Or is real or validated for yourself within, right? So this episode is about, if you have a need, say something. Feel something, say something. Need something, say something. It's kind of like at the airport or at a ballpark or anywhere busy, see something, say something. It's really could be that simple. If you listen to the last episode about keeping things simple, this definitely connects. We make things complicated when we have a need that includes other people. We talk ourselves out of it, or worse, we don't tend to the need and then we get resentful and annoyed or irritable or sad or mad, whatever the feeling is that accompanies the need that someone else could help you attain, being left behind, forgotten, pushed aside, or minimized, right? So here's my example. Currently, we have a new puppy. His name is Roy. He's a Bernese Mountain Dog. If you listened to episode number 1, I mentioned that this little dude was joining our family, and he certainly has. I need sleep, which you've also heard in probably episode number 2, where I talk about being deprived of sleep when our daughter, our second child, was a baby. I am hyper aware of my need for sleep, and I oftentimes need help or support or some kind of system update, right, in our family when there's a challenge, when there's something that makes things kind of tricky or difficult. Anyways, but to get a good night's sleep right now, that is tough. That's a tough thing for me right now with this new puppy. I'm the one that pushed for the puppy. I wanted the puppy. The kids can be helpful in other times, but at night while this puppy adjusts, it feels like it falls on me. You know how that is, right? When there's something that needs to be done or there's a responsibility that just, it typically falls on you, and it's like an automatic thing. Oh, well, I guess I'll do it. I've got this, or I know how I want it, so I'll just do it myself. You know that one, right? I can definitely be famous for that. In fact, I'll come back to the puppy, I promise. But when we were packing up last, I've recently gotten the kids involved with the packing. You know, like, here's your list. Go to your room, grab your 5 socks, your 5 shirts, whatever, however many days we're gone. They have a list and they pack themselves. Well, this last trip we just went on, I ended up just doing it myself. I needed help. I could have had the support. I could have asked for them to do their own packing, but I had that mentality of, well, I know how I want it, so I'm just going to do it myself. I know how I want it to be organized because it was a 2-week-long trip, so I'll just do it myself. And instead of asking for help and asking for, the need to be a partnership or a team effort, I just did it myself. And then even though this was, not a huge deal, but there are times where something like that, just the act of not asking for help, not asking for support, can lead to, like I said, that irritability, that resentment, more stress. It's avoidable. So the puppy, right? He's needy. He's so needy. But he's allowed to be needy. He's a baby. Currently, he's 9 weeks, and he's almost 30 pounds. If you don't know much about the breed, Bernese Mountain Dogs, they are big. This is a big breed. And our puppy, Roy, his daddy is 125 pounds. His mom's about 105, 110 pounds. I mean, these are not small animals. So it's weird looking at him because he's a young pup. But he's big. He's huge. He's already bigger than our last dog, who was a puggle. She was 23 pounds on a good day. And so even though he's needy, it's hard to get my brain in that zone of, well, he's allowed to be needy. He's a tiny little puppy. But what comes with the territory of a needy puppy is the adjustment period. I focus so much on transition in my coaching. And yet it's still hard to bring my brain into my knowledge and what I know and what I teach. And that is that anyone or any creature goes through a transition all the time, but especially in those big stages, right? This is still technically the beginning of his life. He's adjusting to life without his siblings, without his mommy, without the family that he knew for 9 weeks, right? We're new, we're strangers. And even though he's lovable and loving and sweet and receptive, it's new, it's scary. So while I'm helping him adjust, I'm losing some sleep. It's kind of shitty. But, I did sign up for this. And yet, even though it was my idea and this is what I want, I am not going to let myself go into that punishment phase. Well, I'm the one who wanted this, so I'm the one who has to deal with it. My husband's around. The kids are willing to help. I don't have to struggle or suffer. I don't. And there was a time where you would think I was trying to get an award for struggling because I would do things by myself. I would try and take care of my needs on my own, or worse, I would just blow them off and ignore them because I wouldn't speak up. I wouldn't express either the feelings I was having. Sometimes you just need someone to hold space for you and vent. And a lot of times I would just kind of shove it down or save it for my therapy session or just not say anything. And then also when I did have a need where I could ask for help, I wouldn't. I was poor at that. I've learned from that. I know that doesn't work for me. I'll still lean towards it. I'll still have the tendency to just do it myself and deal with it. And I guess it's my problem and get sassy about it. But that's not going to work and that's not going to help me. And so I've I'm in this place right now of reminding myself, okay, if you have a need, speak up. Because also there's a couple of things that can happen if you shove it all down and try and deal with it on your own. One, you might blow up later on the person that could have helped you. And instead of calmly communicating and expressing the need, it becomes, like I mentioned, this resentment, this irritability, and it could just blow right up. Have you been there? I've totally been there. And usually I would pick right before bedtime. I was really good at terrible, terrible timing. I'm a little more aware of that now. But if you don't speak up, it's not going to go away, especially if you really need that other person to be involved. And the other thing is nobody reads your mind, especially in relationships. Please take notes on this one. No one, especially in a romantic relationship, no one can read your mind. You can't expect someone to figure you out, have the answers for you, or know how to help you if you don't say something. Honestly, look at it as a waste of time. If you're waiting for someone to read your mind or try and meet you where you are and know what you need, you're wasting time. Instead of just being direct and outing with it, just out with it. I need help with the dishes. I need you to pick up the kids. I need you to spend time with me tonight. I miss you. I could really use a moment without our phones. Whatever it is, don't expect them to know. This also plays true whether it's a friendship or a working relationship or your partner or your spouse. You have needs from each other that make sense in a relationship like that to not try and fulfill on your own. For example, I have quality time needs. I really need time. Genuine, present time with the people in my life who I love and care for. I really need that. That's important to me. And that doesn't just include me. I can't just give myself the need of time with other people. I can arrange for the schedule. I can ask for the time, right? But I am one person. I can't put another person in front of, I can't fabricate a person, right? So it includes someone else, that kind of need, that need for connection. I have to say something. I have to ask for that need. Very often we let ourselves get to a place where we're overwhelmed, we're stressed out because we're trying to do too much. And usually we're trying to do tasks of more than one person. We're trying to knock off a huge to-do list on our own without delegating or speaking up to have some support. I have these conversations with clients all the time about their to-do list and their priorities, especially at work. Okay, what part of this task list can you delegate to someone else? Where can you ask for support to get some of these things done? These are questions I'll ask, right? Because the thing we forget about so often is the value and the need for support, for teamwork, for partnership, to not feel alone. We talked about this, like needs can be anything. But what you don't need to do is try and do all the things all by yourself all the time. I use this line, you can do anything, but you don't have to do everything. I love a good both and, right? You can still be successful. You can still achieve things. You can do all these wonderful things that you can be credited for and have help to do those things and have support to get yourself to that place. There's this myth about asking for help, asking for support as a weakness, right? Well, if I can't do it myself, If I can't handle it on my own, then I suck or I'm not good enough. It's bullshit. You're plenty good enough. Your worth is not diminished because you choose to not be spread thin. You choose to ask for support or help or an ear, just someone to listen. If you're choosing not to be alone on a project or in life, whatever it may be, that doesn't make you weak. That doesn't make you less than. If anything, it adds, it elevates. Because we're human beings. We're meant to come together. We're meant to support each other. We're not meant to be alone. If we were meant to be alone, why were we given all these emotions? Why were we given all these abilities to feel things towards other people? Whether it is a romantic relationship, a work relationship, or otherwise. We're in all kinds of relationships in our lives. We're not meant to be alone, and we're not meant to do things by ourselves. I continuously learn and relearn that if I don't ask for help sometimes, if I don't speak up about the things that I need, sometimes it's not going to happen, and then I'm going to regret not saying anything. I have found myself in different situations saying almost that exact thing. Like, why didn't I just ask for help? Why did I think I could do this all by myself? Not that I couldn't do it all by myself. We're all very capable people. But you don't have to. How come we're raised to think that we have to prove ourselves time and time again by doing things alone? I think this is one reason why we don't tend to our needs the way we could, as quickly as we could, because we have been raised in a culture, a society of do it yourself, achieve it on your own. Yeah, we want credit. We want recognition. We want to be able to handle everything. It makes us feel big and powerful and worthy. And we can still feel big, powerful, and worthy and confident and all those great, good things. And ask for help and speak up when we have a need that others could help us fulfill. We don't have to feel bad about that. I would love to just plow right through this concept of if you ask for help, you're weak. If you can't handle it or appear to not be able to handle it, then you're not going to be successful. It's crap. Go in your mind right now and think about something you have said out loud or internally that sounds a little like, I really need to fill in the blank. I've been meaning to, maybe you've said it out loud. Whether it's a task on your to-do list or I need to read a book and you're busy at work or with the kids or with the pets or whatever is on your plate and you need to ask someone to help you with your schedule, rearrange something to help you out, be available so you can not be available, right? And go sit in your favorite chair and have that time with your book. Making arrangements sometimes is all you need to take care of the thing you want to do or need to do. And yeah, sometimes it includes asking for help. If we just get on board with how easy it is to say something, we'd all be better off. What a lovely thing to influence others to try and do. Hey, if you need something, ask for it. If you need help, ask for it. And you know when it's genuine. When someone offers, right? Let's look at this on the other side. If someone offers, hey, I'd love to help you with that. Hey, if you need anything, let me know. You know how many times you've heard that from someone else who probably genuinely cares. Hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. Wouldn't it be so cool to just take them for their word instead of having this guilty ickiness settle in right after you hear them say it? in your mind that says, oh, I don't know, I'm not going to ask them for help. I'm not going to burden them. I'll feel so bad. They have their own life. They have their own things going on. I think about this when someone asks me or says to me, hey, if you ever need help with the kids. Me, a few years ago, would have been like, oh, it's so nice of you. And like 2 seconds later in my brain be like, I'm not going to ask them. That's not fair. And then I don't let them be the ones to decide. I take that opportunity away from another person to be genuinely kind and genuinely want to offer help and support. And then I genuinely could use the help and support, and I'm denying myself of such a thing. How stupid. Think of the concept. What if they really mean it? And you yourself can go in your mind too of when you've offered, when you've been the person to say, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. You know in your mind if you've offered that without being reluctant. If you've genuinely offered that to someone out of like the true kindness of your heart, maybe because you have the capacity to do it and show up that way. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just offer because it's just in you to do that. And that's a whole other thing. We could talk about boundaries another day. If you're offering and you can't, fully show up without it being too much for you. That's another thing, though, I will mention that makes sense. If someone says, hey, can you help me? You have every right to say, sure, I'd love to, but I can't. You have every right to say that and not feel bad about it. The same way you have every right to ask for help, you have every right to say, I can't. Or I have other things going on that I really have to get to. You're allowed to be important in your own life. You're allowed to tend to your own needs. But not to stray too far away from this concept of asking for help doesn't have to be frowned upon. Ugh. Maybe it's this competitive, go to college, be number one in your class, or, I get that in the sports world, it's all about being the best, but not always. If you haven't noticed, a lot of the sports world, team sports is about the team. You listen to these Major League Baseball players and these football players, NFL players like who've really risen to the top in their sport. You ask them how they shined and how they did all of these wonderful things, and they'll mention people who have supported them. They'll talk about how it's about the team and we're helping each other out. We're all in this together. Think about that. I say this in my class and to clients all the time. Even the most successful people in life didn't get there alone. I use Oprah as an example. She is wildly successful, right? She didn't do all of that by herself. She didn't do the tasks that she needed to do to become successful completely by herself. It's not just about being successful. It's about the human right that we're born with to tend to our needs. And if there's people in your world who are willing to be next to you and help, let it be the genuine thing that it can be so that you, at the end of the day, can think, oh, that thing I needed help with today, I really needed that. And accept it. Just fully guilt-free accept that having someone wait for your kids at the bus stop was really helpful because you needed to get to the grocery store. Having that friend at work drop off the documents, or that part of the project to your boss so you could get to your doctor's appointment on time because you needed to be there is a good thing. Whatever the help looks like, let it. Put your shoulders down. Open your hands. Think about this. If you shy away from the idea of asking for help, you don't have to. And if you shy away from the idea of asking for help and speaking up when you have a need, that's a sign that tells me that you would be the kind of person who would be first in line to offer a helping hand. Why wouldn't you deserve the same? You need something? Say something. Thanks for being here. Your needs matter because you matter. Take care. Thank you for listening to Needy and Normal. If you liked this episode, perhaps it gave you an aha moment, please share it. I will also be so grateful if you leave me a review and click that subscribe button so you won't miss an episode. For information about coaching together, visit ablifecoaching.com. Until next week, be kind to yourself.